you're on.
Hi there. My name is Al Blixt, and I have been a consultant doing organizational development kind of work and executive coaching for at least 25 years. I'm here with two of my colleagues, Arthur Lerner and Bruce Gibb, and we're here to talk a little bit about the work of consulting and share whatever experience we can with you to talk about the skills that are required to have a successful career as a consultant, primarily in organizational development. So let me just say quickly a little bit more about me. My background before I came to consulting was as an attorney. I had a stint as a college professor, and I had a stint in advertising and marketing. But I came in 1994-95 to doing organizational development work, doing primarily strategic planning, organization design, work design, culture change, and ultimately executive coaching. And I've had a chance to work in the auto industry and in government and nonprofit sector, and now I focus primarily in higher education. So what I've had is the benefit of working with lots of really smart people, colleagues from whom I've been learning pretty much continuously. So that's the end of my story. I'm going to ask Arthur to introduce himself.
Oh, just, okay, well, we were just mentioning earlier how many OD people come out of the field of psychology, and I don't. I'm a recovering sociologist. So, and that's because I didn't know what OD was, but what I kept wanting to do is what OD did. And as I was frustrated in a period when I was working on my dissertation, I took a different job, and I wasn't performing well because I felt it was beneath me. And so I was called up to the vice president's suite, and I met one of his assistants who was an OD consultant, and didn't know at the time that she was about to become one of the really better known and influential consultants in America. And so all three of us at different times have worked with her, and what she did is in 4 minutes she made it impossible for me not to go back and do better work than I was doing automatically. And so I told her I wanted to work for her, and she said, "I'm just a consultant." So that was the beginning for me. And it turned out it was a good mesh because 80% of the theory I was presented with I already knew. But I knew it from studying formal organizations, things like that. I've either worked alone or in a small firm. And when I say alone, I want to say it doesn't mean I never partner, but I'm me, but I have worked with each of these people on different projects, worked with other consultants in other places. So I don't always work alone, but I have my practice. I'll talk later about some of the things that I think are important about OD. I don't know that there's a lot else to say. I haven't had the multiple careers that Al has had. That's it.
Can't keep a job. Bruce, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, I started out in political science. My undergraduate degree was in political science, and I got very interested in how, broader issues. So I went to Princeton and got a degree in public affairs. And from there I went to Peru and helped on a team, did a reorganization of the Peruvian central government, and was hired by the Ford Foundation to go to Chile. And there, as assistant representative, I did an analysis of a different organization about every week. And once week, I figured out that they were able and competent to use the money that we were going to give them. I would bring in a sociologist or somebody who was in that specialty for them to do the qualitative evaluation. So I did a lot of assessments. Came back to the States and decided I want to get a PhD in psychology. So I came to University of Michigan, got a PhD here, and then I started consulting. I got kind of bored with, I taught at the university for a while. Kind of got bored with that because it wasn't really telling me much about organizations. I mean, variables and all that stuff just wasn't enough. So I started a consulting firm, and I did that for 40 years. So I'm just retired from that. And in that practice, I started new organizations, 6 new organizations from scratch. advising on the implementation of socio-technical systems. And then I've done a lot of startup work, and I worked with all the major firms as well, the local firms as well, and done quite a bit of international work. So I think that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we were talking earlier, we've been asked to talk about what are the skills you need to be successful as a consultant, and I wanted to kind of frame that by talking about something that was said to me by a client many years ago. I'm going to kind of paraphrase it, and that is, a successful consultant is defined by who the consultant is. That means what are the personal qualities that that person has. What a consultant knows, which is system theory and practice techniques, whatever, and what a consultant does. And the question is how well you can apply those to solve the problem or the issue that the client is facing. And so we've been asked to identify one or another of the skills that we think are kind of foundational for being a successful consultant. And I'm going to turn back to Arthur to kick off. You pick one. I know there's too many to pick
No,
from.
I'm just gonna say a word about one other one, because we talked about it before this in terms of what we were gonna talk about. And I know it's gonna be an issue for those of you in the course as at least part of your curriculum. I know about marketing, but a person who literally has trained hundreds of people and written books about marketing for professionals talked to me early in my career about the difference between how I was with clients and how I was when I wasn't with clients. So that I had to learn about being the same person. He said, it's really clear that when you are consulting, you don't think of yourself as marketing, but you are marketing because they keep asking you back and they refer you to people. But somehow when you're feeling hungry or you're looking for a job, I mean, you don't know what to do. So that was my status about 25 years ago in the 80s. So I just want to have that because that word has come up. This is not the most important competence. It's my most important competence because it's where my greatest strength is and where I've discovered that my clients, to the extent that they are kind of pleasantly surprised or even grateful, is that the first thing I do, other than just try to get a feel for them, is I want to diagnose what's going on. Okay? And I think the same thing is true. This is what distinguishes a good doctor and a bad doctor, for any of you guys who watched House. And I've had people in my family who died because doctors did not know how to diagnose. So in this field, it's that you start with a person, but really you're interviewing a set of people to find out how they view the same issue or the key issues that seem to be why they're calling you in the first place. And asking questions that they usually will never ask themselves. They're not always deep and challenging. It's to get them to begin to think differently, even as they're talking about with me. I could talk about this for 3 hours, so I'm going to stop now just to say that the diagnosis that helps frame, I know where to go before I even know what steps I'm going to take when we're really working with a bunch of people. But I do that first, and it's amazing, by the way, how much it builds rapport. Because asking those types of questions, good diagnostic questions, is an automatic rapport builder. That's it.
Yeah, let me just add to that. I found that I have my own framework for diagnosing
Right.
individuals, teams, organizations.
So I-
But the most important thing is to find out what the framework is of your client, how they see the world, what the levers are they think that they can pull and not pull.
Right.
And I think the very first thing that, well, most important, before you can even do that, is you have to be able to join with the client. You have to be able to get a rapport with them. And I think that comes, I've found, what I do, is I want to know them personally. So I try to get them to tell me about their lives. And that has a joining effect. So that then I can, once we get that, then we can start looking at what the issues are, take them through, what are all the, you know, what are they facing, what are they dealing with? And they'll write those down. They may never have put them down. Say, okay, which of these is the most important to you right now? This one is, okay, what's your vision of where that ought to go? And how do you think you could get there? Because you want to have, the client wants to experience you as being helpful, not selling.
All right.
Well,
You're
and-
doing what you do, and if they like it and like you, they'll continue. But you're not trying to say, oh, you know, I did this and I did that and I did, that will just turn them off, at least my
I
experience.
just want to say that how personal I get depends on the degree and nature of rapport, not just of the individual, but what I've been experiencing in the organization. So I would just tell you that one of the highest praises I ever got was from the chief of surgery in a major hospital system, who had been passed over to be chief of all medicine. And I got there 2 weeks after he didn't get that job. And he became charmed by me about 15 minutes into it. He gave me much more time than he thought he was. But I didn't ask him about his other stuff except for his background in the Marines. Because nobody ever, he was so used to being slighted because he was brusque. So all I wanted to do was understand how he did things. And it wasn't always about getting
We have
personal.
one more
Let's
minute.
get some-
I'll shut up.
Okay.
My turn.
So if there was, I'm gonna pick up on what you said. Your ability to build trust with your client may be the most important competency. Your ability to be more interested in what's going on with them than what's going on with you. And your ability to help them find their own answers. I think the concept of creating a preferred future, being able to imagine something that's better, and to have folks, our little company has a slogan, aligning people, creating futures. If you can get people to share, as you said, the diagnosis also builds a common database.
That's
Right?
right.
And so if everybody's now seeing the same world, and now we can get to a
Yeah.
place where you're being helpful in helping them imagine a world that's better than this, now the rest of it, the how do we get there, becomes just a technical problem to solve. And it's getting people in that alignment mode and getting you to not be threatening. That is most important. We're gonna end it here.
And you need to be able to do that with one individual and then with a group of people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
So that you
absolutely.
build that
Right.
that support. for
Okay,
whatever
so
that
that's it for this session. We'll be back in a few weeks.